Hi, good afternoon. Today's topic is going to be dense subsets in a metric space. Okay. And dense subsets are very important from the point of view of continuity in general and analysis and approximation in particular. Many times one sees a definition which you can chant like a mantra. A subset A of a metric space is dense in X if A closure equal to X. Okay, this is a standard definition because you can chant it. Closure of A equal to X. Then A is dense, right? It's much easier. But unfortunately, that doesn't give a good idea about how to use density. So my plan is to give an equivalent definition, and we will prove the equivalence with the standard definition and show some examples of dense subsets and some properties how to deal with that. Okay, so let us start sharing the screen and start our work. Yeah, so suppose all of you would have seen what is called the density of rationals in R. What does it said? It says that if you give me two real numbers A less than B, okay, then there exists a rational number R in Q so that A less than R less than B. This is standard way. But let's try to understand it, what it says. It's the same as saying, okay, there exists a rational number R such that R belongs to the interval AB, open interval AB, which is same as saying the intersection of Q with the open interval AB is not empty. You understand that? So what does it mean? You give me any non-empty open interval in R, then it intersects Q. That means it always has a rational number. Okay, right. Why this is very important result? Because you might have gone through analysis. If you have gone through my real analysis course, I would have told you why they are important. Because the construction of real number system we very rarely do in the first course in analysis. We simply postulate the existence of a real number system with certain properties. But natural numbers, integers, and rational numbers, we know how to deal with that. So what this says is that you give me any real number A in R, I can approximate it by a rational number. What do I mean by an approximation? You give me an epsilon positive, then I can find an R which is very close to A rational number R which is very close to A. This is same as saying R belongs to A minus epsilon to A plus epsilon, where R is a rational number. You understand this? So that means given any rational, so whatever epsilon you give me, look at the open interval A minus epsilon to A plus epsilon. This is non-empty open interval. Therefore, by density of rational, there is an R which is in this, which is same as saying mod A minus R is less than epsilon. That means I can approximate an unknown real number A by means of a rational number. That is the importance of density. Okay. So how to formulate such a notion in a general metric space? The trick is again easy. Those who have gone through my earlier lectures on metric space, you would know any open interval is actually an open ball in R. Right. Why? What is C? This is A plus B by 2, the midpoint. So I have A, B. I don't know what is A, what is B. But the midpoint is known. This is my C. Then this is the same, right? This is halfway between the point A and B. I don't know again what is A, what is B. You understand that? Therefore, the radius is going to be, suppose A is less than B, then the radius is going to be B minus C by 2, which is equal to again C minus A by 2, which is equal to R. So we had already seen that. So what does this say? It says that instead of saying give me any open interval, I can as well say give me any open ball BCR in R, then Q intersect BCR. Do you understand this? So the density of rationals we have interpreted in a slightly different language using open balls. So what does it mean? So I say Q, the rational numbers, is dense in R. Okay, if for every open ball, that is for every C in R and R positive, look at the open ball BCR that intersects Q. Okay, that means there is a rational number in the open ball BCR. That is same as saying in the open interval C minus R to C plus R. Do all of you understand this? Please pause, review. And then proceed. Now suppose XD is a metric space. Okay, D is a subset of X. I want to define D is dense in X. How will I define? Okay, now how many of you are ready to do that? Now that we are defined, right? We interpreted the density of rationals in R in terms of open ball. Okay, look at this definition. Look at this characterization. How many of you can come up with the definition of density in a general metric space? Yes, I think most of you can do that, right? For every open ball BXR, okay, BXR intersection D is not empty. That is, are you following? Yes, maybe I'll call it A because I can keep denoting it by A. That will be easier for me. Yeah, what does it mean? This means, so I have metric space X and my, okay, A may be like this. Okay, now start with any open ball. Okay, however small, okay, wherever be the center, whatever be the radius, positive radius, you do that. Don't do that. I have not drawn pictures. Okay, so it should intersect. How is the picture clear? I'll give you an analogy. Suppose think of this as a pond full of water, and there are a lot of pink fishes in here, right? And what I want to say, this pond is dense with fish. Okay, if you are a Bengali student, I think you should love my analogy. What does it mean? You take any small net, however small the net is, you dip it and take it out, you are going to find a fish in that. Okay, and no matter where you put your dip, okay, this is a small net, this is a small net. I don't know where you are going to dip it, but once you lift it, there is going to be a fish. That is what density means. Have you understood this? Yeah, right. Is the definition clear? Okay, I assume that is clear now. So let us go with that. There are few things. That means, let us again write it. This means A is dense. Okay, let me change it the color. So A is dense in X if for every X in X and for every R positive, BXR intersection A is not empty. then I say A is dense in X. Sometimes classically they will also say everywhere dense in classical books, but nowadays standard definitions is dense. It's dense in X. Okay, let's try to understand what it really means. All right, because do you remember when I introduced the density of rationals in R, I said it gives an approximation, that is given any real number. Okay, and whatever error you want to tell me, I can find a rational number which is close to that. With the error will be whatever you prescribe, less than the error. Right? You give me an epsilon positive and give me a real number A, I can find a rational number R, so that distance between R and A is less than epsilon. Okay, that is mod R minus A, right? So here also we can do that. Do you see that why? How many of you understand this? Yes. Now suppose that means you have, see, this is a metric space, right? And A is a dense subset of X. What does that mean? If you give me a real any element X, then I am sure to find, and you give me an epsilon positive, okay, then I want to say there is an A in A, so that distance between X and A is less than epsilon. Do you understand this? This is exactly similar to the density of rations. Why that is true? That's very easy, because A is dense in X, therefore B A epsilon intersection, sorry, Bx epsilon intersection A is not empty, because this X is given. I want to say there is an A within epsilon distance from X. You understand this? So by our definition of density, Bx A epsilon intersection A is not empty. So let A belong to this. What does that mean? That means A is an element of capital A, and distance between X and A is less than epsilon. Do you understand this? So a dense subset essentially approximates. Okay, it gives a lot of approximation to any arbitrary element of X. Okay, please understand, pause, review and proceed before you go further. There is another nice way of looking at dense subsets. Okay, so you fix an X in X, right? In place of epsilon, let me take 1 by n, where n is a natural number. Then what do I know? I know that since A is dense, Bx 1 by n intersection A is not empty. Therefore, there is an element A in the open ball Bx 1 upon n. Since it depends upon n, let me call it An. Right? Okay. Now, therefore, An is what? This is a sequence. Where? In A. Now look at this. What would you like to say? I'm sure all of you can say this. Yes? Yeah, the sequence An, where does it converge to? It converges to X. Would you understand this? Good. What have we achieved? What have we achieved? What have we achieved is, if A is dense in X and give me any element X in an element of the set X, then I can find a sequence An in the dense subset so that An converges to X. Is that clear? Right. Okay. Again, let us understand, if you have been following my lectures on metric space, what would you like to call A is a set, now X is an element in X, and what I found is there is a sequence An in A so that An converges to X. Then what would you like to call X as? What is the relation of between X and the set A? How many of you said that? X is a limit point. What is X? X is any arbitrary element, right? Therefore, every X in X is a limit point. Limit point of A. But again, if you have been following these lectures, you know, if I collect all the limit points of a given set A, it has a name. Yeah? All set of all limit points. What do I call it? We call it closure of A. That is the smallest closed subset which contains A. Remember that? When we did closed subsets of a metric space, we have seen this, right? Now, have you understood what you achieved? Go slow. If this is the first time you are going through, you will find it I'm little fast, but it's okay. So what I have shown, suppose A is a limit point of X, sorry, if A is a dense subset of X, then I proved every point of X is a limit point of A. But set of all limit points of A is known as the closure of A. Therefore, what do you think I have shown? Okay, every limit point of X is a limit point of A. Okay, but every limit point of A is an element of A closure. Therefore, A closure equal to X. Therefore, we have proved one way, that is A is dense in X implies A closure equal to X. Okay, as I said, the standard definition you will find all textbooks and all teachers chant is like mantra. A is dense in X if A closure equal to X. Okay, when you look at A closure, you see what I call it is a secondary definition. Once you are given a set A, you have to understand what is A closure, and then you have to say equal to X. It doesn't give an intuition about the density. Whereas now let's look at our definition. What did it say? Give me any open ball in the set in this metric space, it has to intersect A. Okay, that shows density. Look at the picture which I drew earlier. However small ball you draw, I'm sure to find an element of A in that. That is density. You understood this? Okay, now I want to prove the converse. Converse is, suppose A closure equal to X. Yeah, then I want to know whether does it imply A is dense in X. Okay, so what is that I have to do? If A is dense in X, what I have to do? You start with any element X in capital X and an open ball BXR, then I want to say it intersects A, right? Suppose it does not intersect A. What does that mean? Remember, X is equal to X, but X equal to A closure, therefore X must be a limit point. Limit point of A. Therefore, given any open ball BXR, it should intersect A, right? You follow that? We are assuming A closure equal to X. What is A closure? Set of all limit points. When is a point limit point of the set A? Take any open ball centered at the point BXR, it should intersect A. So you are through. So when I want to show you A is dense in X, what I have to do? Start with any open ball BXR. I want to know whether it intersects A. Yet of course it intersects A. Why? Because look at X. X belongs to capital X. Therefore X is in A closure. Therefore X is a limit point of A. Therefore BXR intersection A is not empty. Is that clear? Therefore we have proved the theorem. What is the theorem we have proved? A subset A is dense in X if and only if A closure equal to X. Okay. Now my Janma is attain salvation. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to go through this quickly so that we will get rid of this. Okay, because if you have gone through some other definition, this definition, you may be slightly intrigued. Okay. Now, what is our usual practice in this course? I have a set of examples. Whatever new concepts are introduced, I want to explain that in that context. Right? For those examples of metric space, I have to look at. So let us look at. So when X equal to R, when do I say A is dense? X, right? We had already seen Q is dense, and similarly R minus Q is dense in R, right? This is example 1. Notice that this example, we don't prove it. It's proved in analysis, not here. Okay. You understand? In fact, we started with that analysis theorem. and then arrived at the definition of density. Is it okay? Good. And let's look at, we should look at R2 before Rn, but before that, let's look at an interesting case. Suppose XD is a discrete metric. Okay, right? Now is, what are the dense subsets? Notice that here any singleton, okay, is an open ball, right? And now suppose you say a proper subset is dense. Okay, suppose A is a proper subset of X. I want to know whether it is dense in X. Right? Suppose if it is the case, let us take an X which is outside A. Right? Now then Bx1 will be the singleton X. Does it intersect A? That is empty. Therefore, what have you shown now? No proper subset of a discrete metric space can be dense. Do you understand this? PRP. Let us go back to example 1 again. In R, can you think of an open dense set? With, of course, standard metric. Yeah. See, remember, R, any finite set is closed set. Therefore, R is a singleton A. This will be an open set. Okay. So this is my A, which is ruled out. Now, do you think this is dense? Or? Yes. Do you see that? Why? Because take any open interval, it should intersect this set. You follow that? Take any open interval, call it, since I took A, maybe I'll take it alpha, then take any interval, AB, okay? It may or may not contain A, but there are therefore elements. You understand? There are lots of elements. Even if A is there, sorry, alpha is there, there will be a lot of elements. Therefore, this is an open set, and this is also dense subset of R. Do you think R minus a finite set is dense? Okay? Think about it. Is subset of integers in R, do you think it's dense? I have 1, I have -1, I have -2, so I take an open row like this, it's not going to intersect. Yeah, therefore that's not dense. Right? Okay. Okay. Now, next, let us try to, before we go further, let's do a little more theory. Okay? This is an exercise. Sorry. This is an exercise. What is the exercise? So I say A in X is dense in X if and only if for every non-empty open set U of X, U intersection A is not empty. Is this clear? Suppose A is dense. Give me a non-empty open set. Since non-empty, there is an X in U. And since it's U open, there is an R such that BXR is contained in U. And since A is dense, what do I know? A intersection BXR is not empty. But this is a subset of U intersection A or A intersection U. BXR is contained in U. You understand that? Therefore, U intersection is non-empty. So if A is dense, I have proved for every non-empty open set U of X, U intersection A is not empty. Again, the picture is nice. You see that? Now I took an open ball. What I am claiming now? I am claiming the set A. It will be too much for me to keep drawing everything. I hope you understand, right? Now start with any open set. It doesn't have to be open ball or anything. Okay, it has to intersect A. Okay, now I have to prove the converse. Suppose I know for every non-empty open set U intersection A is non-empty. Then I want to say A is dense. But that's very easy. To prove A is dense, what I have to do? You have to give me an open, for any open ball BXR, I have to say BXR intersection A is not empty. But BXR is a non-empty open set. By hypothesis, BXR intersection A is non-empty, right? Therefore, define density in terms of open balls, but we can also define it in terms of open sets. Okay, if you are going for general topology, this definition will be useful. Is it okay? Right. Now, let's look at the third example of matrix, product matrix. Right? Okay. Right. Now, before we go further, let us look at again another exercise. I say A is dense in X. Okay. If and only if for every X in A, for every X in capital X, there is a sequence AN in A so that AN converges to X. I'm just simply reformulating, okay? Don't get psyched. So that is why the concept should be understood. But if you try to remember it only as a theorem and proof, you will not. Remember, I said if A is dense, what did I do? For every X in X, there is a sequence AN so that AN converges to X. You understand that? Yeah? Therefore, one way is proved. Now, other way around. Suppose A is dense in X, we had already said if A is dense in X, what does that mean? Then other way around I have to prove. Right? If A is dense in X, then I have shown for each X in X, there is a sequence AN so that AN converges to X. This is done. Now, converse. Suppose for every X in A, there is a sequence AN in A so that AN converges to X. What is that I have to do now? I have to prove A is dense. Okay. Okay. I have to check this. Yeah. Right. So what does it mean? You are going to give me an open ball BXR. I have to check whether this is not empty. Right? Okay. Now what do I know? Now look at BXR. Take this X. What is the hypothesis? For every X in X, there is a sequence AN. Therefore, there is a sequence AN with what property? AN converges to X. Do you understand that? Right. Now, since AN converges to X, what do you know? What is the definition of AN converges to X? Look at this open ball, BXR. Therefore, there is a natural number N, so that for every N greater than or equal to capital N, okay, what happens? AN belong to BXR. That is distance between AN and X is less than R. That's the definition of convergence. You understand that? Yes or no? So what I have shown that? I have shown that a set A in X is dense in X if and only for every element of the set metric space there is a sequence AN in the dense subset so that AN converges to X. Have you understood this? Okay, pause, review, proceed. Okay, now we are ready for the next example. Suppose X and Y are metric spaces. Let's look at the product metric. Right, and now let's assume A in A, X is and B in Y are dense. What does it mean? A is dense in X and B is dense in Y. Then I have a product A cross B. Call this if you want C. This is in X cross Y. What do you think I want to claim? I want to claim C is dense in X. Yeah? Right. So how will I prove that? Notice that just now the exercise said, if you give me any point X, Y in capital X cross Y, How will I prove A cross B is dense? There is a sequence in C, that is a sequence Cn, but sequence Cn is of the form An Bn, where An is in A, Bn is B, such that An Bn converge to XY. Please understand what you want to prove. When I want to prove C is dense in X, give me any arbitrary element XY in X cross Y. I have to find a sequence Cn, which is An Bn, which converge to XY. I have to find the sequence. How do you think I will do that? Right? Now what do I know? A is dense. Where? In X. And where does X belong to? X belong to X. Therefore, what do I know? I know there is a sequence An which converges to X. And what is the next statement you would like to make? Yeah. B is dense in Y and Y belong to Y. Therefore, there is a sequence Bn in B, so that Bn converges to Y. You understand that? Therefore, I have sequence An, Bn. This is of course a sequence in A cross B, which is equal to C. And I want to know whether A and Bn converge to XY. Now, do you see that? We had already done that. What have you done? When does a sequence in the product converges to an element in the product? If only if the coordinates of the sequence of the first coordinates converge to the first coordinate, and similarly second. You understand? This happens if only if we know that An converge to X and Bn converge to Y. But that's our assumption, right? We had already found such a An, so the An converges to X, Bn converges to Y, and therefore it follows An and Bn converge to X cross Y. So what do you think I have proved? I have proved that if A is dense in X and B is dense in Y, then A cross B is dense in X cross Y. Right? Have you understood this? Okay. P R P. So before I stop the lecture, let me bring in the continuity and the relation between continuous functions and dense subsets. Okay. Okay. So you can call it as a theorem, right? Suppose I have two continuous function f from X to one metric space to another metric space. These are continuous functions. These are all metric spaces. Suppose A is dense in X, right? And assume for each A in A, Fa equal to Ga. You must have seen this in real analysis. If F and G are continuous function from R to R, if they agree on rational numbers, then they agree everywhere. Have you done that in real analysis? At least in my lectures on real analysis, I have done that. Okay. So we want to claim that then for every x in X, Fx equal to Gx. That is F equal to G. So if they agree on a dense subset, two continuous functions agree on a dense subset, then they agree everywhere. Do you understand this? The proof is easy. How do I prove that? Start with an x in X. Since A is dense in X, what do I know? I know there is a sequence An. Where? In A. With what property? An converges to X. Now what is F? F is continuous on X. Therefore, what do I know about f of A and f of X? F of An converges to f of X. What do I know about g of An? G is also continuous. Therefore, g of An also converges to g of X. Right? Very good. But where is An and B? An is in A. What is our assumption about F and G? F and G agree on A. Therefore, f of An equal to g of An. Do you understand that? Therefore, I have the same sequence f of An. Okay, this is the same sequence. But this sequence converges to fx, this sequence converges to gx. Then what do you think I know? I know what is called the uniqueness of the limit of a convergence sequence. So this same sequence converges to fx as well as gx. Therefore, what do I know? I know fx equal to gx. Do you understand the proof? Okay, this is the last. Okay, so yeah, before going, let's go back. So I did A cross B, therefore an R2. Now you know Q cross Q. Okay, this is subset R2. This is dense in R2. And similarly, Q cross R minus Q. This is dense in R2. And similarly, R minus Q cross Q. This is dense in R2. Because this is dense in R, this is dense in R, product is dense in R2. You understand that? There was a set of points in R2 in the plane with the rational coordinates is dense. Or one rational, another irrational, that is also dense. Right? All x coordinates are rational, all y coordinates are irrational, or other way around. You follow that? Or you give a choice. Okay, right. Anyway. Okay, I forgot to give that example because our second example is R2, Rn, etc. Therefore, Rn also you will have the same thing by induction. Q cross Q cross Q. So call it Q power n. This is dense in R power n. Okay. So last example using continuity. Suppose f is a continuous function from x to y. Assume it's onto. Okay, what does it mean? For every y in y, there is x in x, so that y equal to fx. Right? Now suppose A is dense in x. I want to claim FA is dense in y. Is the statement clear? There are any number of ways of proving. Let us look at that. I want to prove f of a is dense in y. Okay, this is my y. This is my x. Okay, I have a point. Okay, I want to prove f of a is dense. Therefore, I have an open ball. This is my b y epsilon. That what do I have to say? I have to prove b y epsilon intersection in f of a is not empty. This is what we want to prove. Is that clear to all? Yes. Right. Now f is continuous. Right. And also onto. Therefore, I know there exists an x, maybe more than one x, but at least one x, so that y equal to fx. Right. So there is an x. Okay. Now what do I know? Since f is continuous at x and you are given me an epsilon, what do I know? There is a delta. This is bx delta. With what property? Take any point here, f maps it into this set. Have you understood? Yes? Yeah. Because of continuity, okay, there is a delta positive, so that for every x dash in bx delta, fx dash lies in by epsilon. Now let's look at bx x delta. This is a non-empty open, this is an open ball. And what do I know about A? A is dense. Therefore, I know there is an A here. Right? You understand that? Therefore, A belongs to Bx delta. Therefore, what do I know? F of A belongs to By epsilon. Right? So, but F of A belongs to F of A. That means By epsilon intersection F of A is not empty. Do you understand this? Can you think of using this somewhere? So what I have shown? F is a continuous function which is onto. If A is dense in X, then f of A is dense in Y. Okay, this is what we have proved. This is a theorem. Can you think of an application? Come on, you should be able to do it. Remember, if I take x cross y, look at the projection. Okay, this is we call pi x and pi y. These are the projection on the x coordinate and y coordinate, right? We had already seen this is continuous, and of course it's also on to, right? So now the result is clear. Yes. So if you tell me d is a dense subset of x cross y, then I know pi of d is dense in x, pi x, and pi y of d is dense in y. So in particular, if you tell me a is a subset of x, y is a subset of, sorry, b is a subset of y, and a cross b is dense in x cross y, this is just a subset. But what I know is the product a cross b is dense in x cross y. What do you think I can conclude? Yeah, right. I'm sure that all of you understood what I'm asking for. Yes, very good. Okay, there are a few more things which you can do, but I think this is good enough. Let us stop sharing. Okay, please go through, and I'm sure with these examples we will be very confident about how to work with dense sets. And I also gave two important results relating continuity and dense subsets. Okay, I hope all of you enjoyed. We'll meet again.